Returning for the second time this year, following a premiere at the Seattle International Film Festival in May, Peruvian director Javier Fuentes Leon returned with his film Contracorriente, Undertow, to take the top awards at the Seattle Lesbian and Gay Film Festival. M.K. Scott from OUTscene interviews the director.
Well, wanted to talk a little bit about the concept. Where did the concept come from?
It came about a little bit accidentally and gradually. I was studying film in LA, and I was in a screenwriting class, and they asked us to write a scene with no more than 3 characters in one location and hopefully create an intense conflict. And I wrote a scene that basically, with a few changes, it's still in the movie, and not only is in the movie, but it's actually the scene that introduces all the magical fantasy aspect of the movie. It's a scene that I wrote as a class exercise, and it stayed in my mind, and based on that scene I wrote a play, and then I wrote a short that somebody else directed, and then years later in 2001, 2002, I said, okay, I think I can make this into a feature, and I started writing. The love triangle of that story was between a fisherman who was married and the prostitute of the town, which was another woman. It was later when I decided to make it into a feature film, and also after me coming out, and going through that process, that I said, okay, it should be a married man that has an affair with another man. So that is the big change from the seed, let's say, into the feature film. And the film premiered for the first time in a film festival in Spain, in San Sebastián. That was in September of 2009. And then it went to Sundance, and then it kind of exploded after that. So it's been selected by Peru to be the official entry for the Best Foreign Film competition. It's not been nominated yet by the Academy, but it's in consideration.
Okay, this is so this is for the coming.
Yeah, this is for this one coming up. Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, a lot of people were comparing. In fact, the some of the branding or some of the marketing of the film has been kind of like a Brokeback Mountain at sea. After hearing from you last night, you don't think that's the case?
As I said last night, I'm a little conflicted about it, because I actually like Brokeback Mountain, and I think it's a good film. So, in that way, I'm being compared to a good film, which I'm not against. But I think it's a little bit lazy on the part of the people that have said that. Yes, there's some common points. In my film, you see a love affair between 2 men in a rural area. One of them being married and having also, conflicts with the wife once the secret comes out. But that's pretty much it. I think my film has a whole different level of magical, quality, and in the plot there's this whole fantasy element that there's definitely not in Brokeback Mountain. And also, I think the journey of the characters are different. I find Brokeback Mountain to have a very, pessimistic ending in a way, whereas I think my film, even though it's not happy ending, it's optimistic in some way, so I don't see that, and it bothers me a little bit, because I feel that there is, and this might be my own, thing, but I feel that there's a little bit of discrimination when you, because what it's underlying that comment is that, okay, we already saw a movie with 2 men falling in love, so this is a copy. There are all these love stories between men and women that follow the same path, and we never make that's a copy. So it bothers me a little, because there is that underlying thing that once we've seen one love story between 2 men, we've seen them all, and I think there's plenty of stories.
I went there thinking that it was going to be like Brokeback Mountain, but it turned out to be more like of a Brokeback Mountain meets Ghost.
I think that technique works when you're going to pitch something that you want to sell, because you immediately give a producer or an agent or somebody, especially in Hollywood. That's definitely done more in Hollywood than anywhere else. But a clear idea of what what tone, and usually you mention popular and movies that have made money. Because if I go there and I say, well, this is Brokeback Mountain meets Doña Flor and her 2 husbands, they'll be like, what? Because that's a Brazilian film that nobody has seen. A lot of people have seen, but most of them haven't. And actually, in a way, my film has borrows much more from Doña Flor and her 2 husbands than either Brokeback Mountain or Ghost. But So, but that's a technique that you use. It's like, this is Terminator meets, Cinderella. And then you're intrigued because how is that combination going to happen? But I think that's a technique that you use to sell something. And I think that's good when you're going to pitch something because you're going in the selling mode.
Oh, yes.
But I think that it's a little pathetic when a critic says that. Because it's lazy on their part.
In regards to the casting of the film,
There's three leads in the movie. Manolo plays the painter, and he's an actor from Colombia that is actually extremely popular, not only in Colombia but in all of Latin America. In fact, he also did a Hollywood film. He was the romantic interest in Beverly Hills, Chihuahua. So he's had, and he actually came from shooting that film, which is a big Disney production, to my film. So he went from 100 and something, I don't know, million budget to less than $1 million.
La película más chihuahua.
But he was great, and he took a risk, more probably than the others, because he does have a huge following, especially of women, that probably didn't want to see him do this role. Because most of them are in Latin America, and still, gay issue or topic, it's still not 100% embraced. But I'm happy that he did take the role because I think he did a great job, and I think that he brought to the movie what I needed. He has that charisma and that angel that I needed for that character. Because I didn't want the audiences to feel that he was a home wrecker. That he's like the antagonist, the one that is the predator that is coming to, which, a lot of my straight friends got that impression of Jake Gyllenhaal's character when they saw Brokeback Mountain, which is, I didn't get that impression, but, so I was aware that I need to make sure that the lover, Santiago, is not seen as this evil force. Or homewrecker, The same way that I didn't want the wife to be seen as this stupid, submissive obstacle that we just want to get rid of her so that the two guys can be together, So also in the casting, both in the casting of the lover, Santiago, and in the casting of the wife, I wanted actors that could make those characters more complex and interesting and likable, but at the same time, with their own conflicts. And I was very lucky to find the great actress for the role of the wife, which is Tatiana Stengo, and she's from Peru. And I've always seen her, doing many things. And for the lead, role, which is the fisherman, a friend of mine from Bolivia recommended him. He's not from Peru; he's from Bolivia also. He's from Bolivia, Manol is from Colombia, and Tatiana is from Peru. So the three main characters are from different countries of Latin America. And Christian is great. He has that perfect mix of masculinity and strength, but at the same time vulnerability, and there's sadness in his features somehow, so which for me worked well because I wanted this divided man, this that you could see the roughness, but you could see also the tenderness.
now, how were they in regards to their comfort level in regards to the nude scenes?
A lot of people ask about that, and they were, they were not like, let's go, like, this is great. They were a little nervous, both of them are not gay. So they were nervous the same way that, Tatiana and Miguel and Christian were nervous in their own sex scene, between the wife and the husband. In general, scenes where you're portraying sex are stressful. It's uncomfortable for them because they have all these people around them. They have to be nude and they have to pretend that they're really into it. And all that. So, but I gotta say there were other scenes in the movie where they really had to give much more emotionally, that were much harder to for them. And for us. The sex scenes were shot really. 2 takes and that was it.
Now, actually, 3 of the funniest scenes had to do with a couple of the nude scenes. Like the first one was when they are rolling all around on the beach, and then Christian's character Miguel, he wakes up and the priest comes by and catches him naked on the beach.
Yeah. I was conscious that that I was writing a very intense, dramatic uh, movie. I mean, this movie is definitely a melodrama. And I love melodrama when it's done well. It can be done really badly, but I think, for example, Pedro Almodovar from Spain, has done great melodramas, like All About My Mother, for example. So. And they're also in the 50s here in like Hollywood did a lot of, 40s and 50s did a lot of great melodrama. So I'm a big fan, and I knew that I was doing a film that had a lot of intense emotions. So I was very clear that I had to balance that with some comedy, but not just gratuitous comedy, but comedy that had to do with the situations that the characters were, finding themselves in.
Was there any resistance at all from the townspeople in regards to the subject of homosexuality?
They never asked exactly what the story was about. So we were extremely vague, because I was afraid that they would be like, no, because I really thought that time was perfect for the movie, and I didn't want to have this, like, opposition from the authorities, And so we told them that it was, a drama of a fisherman that is married and has a friend that nobody likes, and that he, but that's where we kept it, and they were just so excited that a production from Lima was coming to shoot and had chosen their town. We were like this hurricane that came for like a month and a half and took over the town, and then we left, So, and also we brought them a lot of work because we paid for everything whether they were giving us their houses or their boats or they were cooking for us or they were in the movie, we paid them. So we supported their economy a little bit, and we had promised them that once the film was done, they would be the first ones in Peru to see it. So we brought back the film they were the first screen that we had in Peru, and they don't have a theater, so we built up a screen with the ocean behind it. It was like Cinema Paradiso, and we didn't cut the film for them. Like, we didn't take any of the, affection scenes out, and they saw it the way you've seen it here, and they were extremely happy by the end. They liked the film, they loved the way their town looked in the film, they loved the fact that they found themselves in the film a lot, so there wasn't. I was afraid a little, we were a little tense about how they're going to react, but it was good.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Okay, what's next for you after this film?
Well, I'm still gonna go with the film to a few festivals, and then we have this whole Oscar campaign to do, but at the same time I've been, even before I started shooting Undertow, I because it took me a while to find the financing. I've also written other things, like I have two other screenplays that I still feel like they need some rewriting, but I'm working on them. I'm working at the same time whenever I get a chance, and hope and the producers of Undertow are also very interested in one of them in particular, which is already more developed than the other one. So
is that also going to be a gay themed film?
It has it has a gay sensibility and is a metaphor for coming out in a way, but it's a love story it's basically a love story between a woman that cannot go out into the sunlight or she literally burns in flames, and she gets this visit from this human cannonball guy that crashes on her roof and creates a huge hole 3 hours before sunrise, And it's this quirky love story between these two completely offbeat characters that, and through this, and she basically they fall in love, and through that, through love she's able to go out into the sun and not burn, but it's a woman hiding in the dark that goes out into the sun. It's a metaphor for coming out in a way, but it's not two men falling in love. It's a man and a woman, but their story, it's a metaphor in a way.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
It was an honor to meet with you.